Hey guys, welcome back to Physical Challenge Podcast. I'm here with my co-host once again, Joshua, and Medi's back from vacation. How are you two?
I'm doing good, Mehdi. How was your trip?
It was a good trip. A bit jet lagged still, but it was a fun time. I enjoyed it.
Hold on. When did you land?
I landed on when we landed on Tuesday, but I've been working every day since, so I haven't had enough time to catch up on any sleep.
But hold on, pause. You was in Europe, right?
Yeah.
So it's what 4 hour difference for some of it because the clock changes.
Mine's 6-7.
Oh, fair. Still though, it's been nearly a week.
That's what I was thinking.
But I gotta go back. The problem is I gotta go back to work the next day, and I'm not used to waking up at that time, so I have to stay up.
But like, even if you like mentally catch up like an hour a week, by now you'd be fine.
Yeah, but I wasn't doing that. I was getting less sleep. But yeah, I guess. You know what? I'm a baby, Josh. Leave me alone.
Like, logically, he would, but he's not logical, so.
I am not. But want to get into the show we're watching? Want to explain what it is, Lone?
Yeah, so as you guys have been aware, we've been covering these 3 different shows that are all from, I like to say, as from the mind of J.D. Roth. He was the host of the last 2 shows that we covered, which are Moolah Beach and Endurance. And so now we're naturally covering the 3rd in the series of these shows, which is called Karma. He was the executive producer of this show and also the creator, which I didn't know until earlier today when I was watching one of the episodes. And this show like has a lot of connections like to the last show we covered, which was Endurance. One of the contestants on Endurance, Lily Brown, was actually the story producer for this. So as you can see, like the through line of the 3 shows is being carried on. It's being carried throughout all the 3 shows.
Now, Mehdi, I know you've not seen this show, the shows previous to this, and you didn't watch this at the time. So what was your initial reaction to this being a reality show with child contestants competing for money?
Okay. Initially, so I started off episode 1. I really wasn't feeling this show, mostly because like the teenagers were so angsty, and they're like, wait, weren't they? I feel like they took more time to get used to the camera, and there's a bit more like awkwardness hearing their confessionals and stuff. So I wasn't a big fan of like the teenagers on TV, but it kind of grew on me as the show started to progress. What did you guys think about it when you initially like watched this show like 3 years ago?
It was, so for me, it was peak pandemic. So this show came out June 2020. As soon as I heard the show get announced, it got announced in 2019, I was elated. I was so excited to watch this show. Like, I was counting down the days, and the moment it came out, I was immediately on it. Finished it all in one day, and I was living for it from start to finish. Especially as an endurance fan, this show is like a true follow-on from that. But it very much feels like endurance with a modern twist, which is nice.
Yeah, I agree. I was the same way when I heard that like this was kind of coming out, because I remember that the working title or like the pre-production title was like Extreme Camp. So I was like, is this really like the same thing? But I didn't have it. This aired on HBO Max. I didn't have it at the time, so I just remember like trying to find all the information I could on it and trying to see how I could watch. I joined like a forum, like an old endurance forum that was still around, and like I think that's how I got the episodes. So yeah, I was like actively seeking out how to find this show because I was probably just as excited about it as Josh was.
Having to find reality shows online. Welcome to the life of a European. you just get used to it. You just get used to having to find things through different means when they're not provided in typical ways.
Yeah, this is before, like, now I could probably find like anything I want. Like, but this was like 2 years ago. I wasn't like as versed in finding alternative methods, if you will say that.
Yes. So Karma. So Karma is a show which has similar to Endurance. All the contestants are teenagers. So all the contestants are aged between 13 and 15. So the cast here skews a bit older than some of the Endurance cast. Like pretty much everyone here is like mostly 14 and 15. Whereas in Endurance, you'd get like a couple of 12s and a lot of people floating around that 13 range, especially earlier in the show's run. And these contestants are all being brought here to compete for $50,000, which is wild.
It's a
Yeah,
huge grand prize for especially for teenagers. I was surprised they like put it at 50K. I honestly think they could put it at like 10K and they would still be like going as hard and the competition wouldn't go less. But I mean, I guess they have to use the budget somehow, right? So
Mehdi, have you heard what the prize was back when the show used to be Endurance?
no.
Take a
yeah,
guess what you think the show, this Endurance was back in what, like the mid to early
like
2000s. So guess what?
2003 to 2008.
Guess the
Oh, so
prize on Discovery Kids.
$5,000?
Or, I would argue I'd rather have $5,000 in the prize of this show.
Was it barbecue set, like a trip a trip to Disney? Like what could it be?
You're close. It was always a trip. It was a family trip.
Is it to the Grand Canyon? Was this something like really bad? Like
It varied. It varied each year. It wasn't. It wasn't a bad location. It was like it was a location that Discovery Kids would find interesting to make a special out of.
Yeah, like some of the seasons they had, like at the end of the season, there would be like a special, and it was like, oh, you get to see the kids go on their trip. Yeah, I know one of them was like the Galapagos Islands.
Yes, and I remember for Endurance Fiji, you told me what the prize was last week, but it was somewhere that was like near Fiji. It was somewhere that wouldn't be very exciting considering the location it's been in. But yes, anyway, $50,000, which is a huge cash prize. So we've got 18 teenagers here, and they're going to be divided into 8 teams. Oh no, 8 teams doesn't work. So we're going to have a right to stay challenge. I remember, does the show call it a right to stay challenge?
Yeah, they actually call it right to stay.
yeah.
So this was a staple of Endurance. Mehdi, how did you feel watching a challenge where the last place boy and the last place girl was going straight home?
Well, so this is why it's weird. So I didn't watch the show in its entirety. So I watched it episode 1, 4, and 8. So I watch episode 1, and they do the right to stay, and then that dude that went out, Jack's out, and I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, he's out. I go to episode 4, and this dude's like running the alliance, and I'm like, I really did miss anything from episode 2 and 3 because I was so confused to what was happening. But
yeah,
I don't feel like I like that. It doesn't really give like because that was just purely physical. I don't know if I like that straight off the bat. They should have just added another team.
Oh, you would hate Endurance. So Endurance, they'd cost 20 kids, they'd have like 7 teams. They'd send 6 on the very first day.
Why? They just don't give anyone
Yeah.
a chance. That's a lot. And
yeah. That was like, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, yeah, this is tame. Like this one boy and one girl, like it's so tame. And what me and Josh are used to seeing.
But this challenge also didn't make much sense because so in Endurance, it'd be an endurance-based challenge. Here, this challenge didn't really exude karma. I guess it kind of did because you could help people on the bridges, but it didn't quite have the same vibe. Endurance, it felt like you're having to earn your spot in the game. This was just, if you don't have a certain skill, you're going home.
And the partner selection one was closer to like what a right to stay would be, honestly.
I like that one better. I like that one better than the obstacle course they did, that like endurance challenge, because I feel like that's more like balanced towards everyone's like the base level of like physical ability you should have. The other one was like an obstacle course they weren't like readily prepared for that. So I thought it was cool, but like it was odd. They just started throwing people out. We just met them. Like I just met this Jack guy. He makes a proclamation. Oh, I'm gonna win the 50K, and then I'm like, oh, he's gone. And then I go to episode 4. It's like, no, he's not. And I'm like, okay, they can come back.
So to catch up on what happens, and so for anyone watching, just to give context how we're going to be doing this today, we're going to be entirely open about the first half of the season, what happens. There's going to be no hiding what happened there. And then the second half will be a little more vague. So if you do choose to watch the show, you've at least got something to go with there. So to explain what happens to Jack gets sent home, and then one of the boys quits.
Wait, stop. Who quits? I didn't know someone quit.
Yeah.
So yes, someone quits the show, and then Jack gets brought back to partner with the girl.
Yeah, it was like this is after they made teams, but like before the first like real mission. Harrison, like the really tall, like he showed out like in the right to stay. He was like he's the number one finisher in the right to stay. Like he's this 15-year-old guy.
The guy that picked the teams.
Huh? Oh, they picked the teams, but that wasn't the first. Wasn't it the first episode?
No, I thought it was the guy that picked the teams. Never mind. Continue, Alone. Sorry.
Oh no! The guy who picked the team was Eli or Mac.
Yeah, Mac was the person that picked the teams. I remember. So go ahead.
Yeah, so this guy Harrison basically Medi probably saw the end of episode 1 was like this cliffhanger. It's like you don't know who it is. It's like just in the dark at night and they just show like the cabin and it's this person like I can't do this anymore. I've tried, and then basically they come back the next episode and there's some talk and it's like, okay, where's Harrison? And so then Michelle's like, basically, you all know that Harrison was getting homesick and so he decided to remove himself from the game.
And so then it was what was it, like 2 days?
They're children.
Yeah, they're children.
That's $50,000. They're teenagers. They can still not. That's ridiculous.
So then I would have loved it for being away from my parents at this age. Oh, I would have been living.
Yeah, probably. Me too. So then basically, Harrison's partner, his Skyla, they were the purple team. Skyla's thinking like, oh, I'm screwed. I'm going to go home. And then they're like, well, Karma's coming back or whatever. You know, it played right into the theme of the show or whatever. So then they bring back Jack and he's like, he's like, my plane broke down or I had like my plane had a delay or whatever. And then I got a call from Michelle saying like, oh, you can come back to the game. It was wild. I was like, what are the odds that like this kid's plane like doesn't properly work or whatever? I think I saw like on another like interview later on in the season and he's like, yeah, I was just waiting on my plane and they said I could come back.
Well, that's like I feel bad for that Sierra girl then because I'm on the wiki right now and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, like he got to come back just because someone quit. I mean, he still lost that like right to stay thing, so like she should probably get like some second chance, but they're not going to do that. So
it kind of makes me wonder, like, what if he was actually like on his way home by then? Like, what would
that's what I wonder. I'm very suspicious. I don't believe that plane had taken off. I'm going to be very honest with you, especially because if they'd heard last night, like what the shows don't tend to send their contestants away that quickly.
Yeah.
I feel like you're going to hold on to that person just in case. I think the show is also lucky that it's called Karma because, and you'll see this throughout the course of the show, if they're struggling, they can justify anything by saying the laws of karma, and they'll just shove that word in anywhere to justify any weird thing that happens on the show.
Yeah, another thing is that like we were saying with the other shows, like Endurance, it was like multiple people, you know, were going home and right to stay. Whereas here you only have like 1 and 1, so it's not as easy to just like shoehorn another person in because you only have one, like these one of each gender that got sent home. Versus like if this was Endurance, they might have had more options with, you know, people that they could just pull that they had already, you know, sent out.
If you were being sent home, would you rather be sent home in Endurance when you can blend into a group of people, but then you don't have your star time? Or would you rather be sent home as the only loser, which means people are going to remember you from the show, but it also means you are the only person that lost that challenge?
Yeah. I mean, it's embarrassing either way, no?
Well, like in Endurance, you're kind of like those people like in the right to say in Endurance, they're kind of like lost to history. Like we don't really remember them besides like that one girl you said, Cinnamon, basically.
Queen Cinnamon, cheering everyone on and then she fell. I mean, also you're saying that. Did you remember Sierra's name before watching this episode again?
I didn't.
I didn't.
Because I tell you now, until I opened that wiki back up, I did not remember this girl's name, and I did not remember what she looks like either.
Well, look
Yeah,
at
I
that.
was wondering if like she was gonna be invisible from the edit. I mean, she got like maybe one before the chat, before the like right to say she got like maybe one confessional, and then maybe like one or two during it. But other than that, she was kind of invisible throughout the whole thing. You can see her like in some background shots, but yeah, she was pretty invisible. I feel
So
like Jack would have been the same way if he didn't come back.
here's the thing with Jack. I don't think so because like from the this is how I know like it was weird that he got eliminated first. I don't know if it was just like, oh, karma's gonna get him for him being cocky. And like that was the theme of the first episode. But no, like when he came back, you think like, oh no, I guess like he wasn't like full of himself. I don't. They made him look. They didn't give him the best edit in episode one because he was going home. But like they set up a weird like through line where you could see how he could come back. So like it was interesting. I like that he came back. I like it was more likable once he came back. So
Yeah,
So
yeah. Go ahead.
I was just, if you got more here, because I was going to go on to the rules of the game.
Oh, I just have a little bit more. I forgot that like he was such like a gamer, because like
Oh, I did not forget. I did not forget that.
all like you like Mehdi said, like you see that he's saying like, oh, I'm the one who's gonna win the money or whatever. But then like in the next episode he says like, oh, I've watched all the seasons of Survivor. Da, 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 da. Like like I knew he was like a chess player or whatever, but like he was really gaming, and he gamed the whole time. Let's be clear.
This kid is like probably the one person that went back and made sure he watched all of Endurance before coming onto this show. Like most of the kids probably weren't savvy enough. I imagine he did. I'd be shocked if he did not.
Yeah, even like Avon like made a passing reference in the first episode to when they got to the cabin. She was like, I thought this was like gonna be a survivor villa or something.
no, did she? Oh my god, I didn't catch that. Yeah, Josh, give us the rules of the show just for the listeners.
So the rules of the show says there's a lot of similarities with Endurance. So there's no imagine Endurance. There's no Endurance missions, but there are temple missions. So they're called. I have no record. They're called whatever the challenges are called. Anyway, so there's a challenge, and the team that wins the challenge earns the power to send two teams to the Cave of Karma. Sounds similar to Endurance so far, but so here's the first big change is the Cave of Karma works very differently to the Temple of Fate. So they have to, each team has got 10 pots in front of them, and they'll hide coins underneath their pots. Now the team is going to smash the opponent's pots trying to find coins. So it's still a game of luck here, but the odds are not the same for both teams. And now we get onto to Karma coins, which I think is such a clever way to introduce voting to a kid show without it seeming too savage. So each team that is safe, that's not the power team, has to give a karma coin to a team. The more karma coins you have, the more likely you are to survive, because it's easier to find karma coins. Because you're searching for your own karma coins, which your opposing team is hidden. So if you've got 5 karma coins and the other team has 2, it's going to be much easier for you to find them. It doesn't guarantee you'll stay, but it means you're more likely to stay. What do the two of you think of karma coins as a concept? Personally, I'm obsessed.
I like the concept a lot. I like how it is used where you can keep hold of them or you could use them to help someone else in a challenge. So when they go into the Cave of Karma. And I thought that like, okay, so you could either build like trust by like, okay, I'm gonna use my karma coins to help further my alliance mate like in the Cave of Karma. And even if you do that, there's no chance of them not like coming back, right? So I thought it was a cool little twist. I still I think need to watch the middle episodes to see how they're used more creatively. But from what I saw in episode 4, I thought they were quite interesting. What about you, Lone?
Yeah, I went back. I went to episode 2, like to the end, just so I could like see, like get a refresher on how it works. And now that I think, like now that I was thinking about it, well, when I was watching, I thought it was kind of like a mixture of like the Cave of Karma thing, where they had to like guess the coins. It reminded me of like the final temple in Endurance, where they're like trying to guess the pyramids or whatever. And then the Karma coins part kind of reminds me of like Mua Beach with the offerings. So it's kind of like a blending of both of the past two shows, which I thought was interesting. That never really occurred to me before now, because I guess since I hadn't really watched Moa Beach before.
To me, it feels very Endurance meets Big Brother to me, which I enjoy. I like the fact they're making these kids strategize, because in the original show only the winning team got to strategize, whereas here everyone has to make an active decision, which I think helps lessen the blow that the winning team has to make, because everyone has to pick a side. It means that no one can just coast, really. You've got to stand in front of everyone and say, I am siding with this person.
Yeah, that was a public ceremony where they had to give away the coins, so everybody knew where everybody's head was always at.
I think it's a really creative idea. I think it's really interesting.
I really enjoyed it, but here I got a question for you guys. So in the first episode, they introduced this. Well, I think this might just a mechanism to pick the team. So that the kid that won that first challenge, he had to pick each team, right? And they each got like they got like a medallion of each thing, like responsibility. I don't know which one's else, but like they have those ones, right? Do those impact, like those little like categories impact how they earn the coins?
No.
Then what the hell's the point of representing?
Endurance. This is an endurance thing that carried over. So endurance used to have pyramid pieces.
Yeah.
And because in endurance, the objective was to get all the pyramid pieces. So imagine in terms of karma, if the objective was to obtain all of the laws of karma.
That would have been cool. I think that would have made more. That would have made sense.
It would have made a lot more sense, because the finale of this show makes no sense whatsoever.
It does not, and it.
Yeah.
Can I jump?
I don't remember. I don't remember what happened in the finale, but
I'd say conceptually, yes. That's the one who's there, but conceptually, yes.
Oh no, yeah. I'll just talk about. Okay, so the finale's 2 teams, and then for the 2 teams, they give them for each medallion they create a word puzzle. That's what it's for. They got to create a word puzzle.
Oh God, I remember that.
It made no sense, because they kept on. So one team had 6 and one team had 4 at that time, and then they gave them the first half of the episode to figure it out. And then they're like, okay, we're going to do a challenge for the third teams, the team that just left pieces. They do that. And then they bring everybody back to give them pieces, like give them advantages. It was so messy. Like, why did they do this? It made no sense to me. It was a wild finale.
I remember while watching this, I was like, I've cracked the code with the finale. I assumed that because the medallions were the same size as the coins, I was like, so they're going to do a final cave of karma with the medallions. I was like, this is obvious. And then this weird word puzzle pops up that makes no sense.
That would make more sense, your suggestion, because, okay, that builds up from the beginning of the season, but here they just give you and I don't like that they gave it to them in the beginning of the episode. Like, if you do it, you tell them it's going to be a thing that's going to happen, but you spent 20 minutes them just sitting around like complaining about the other team getting it. I don't think it was good TV at all.
Wasn't there like a scavenger hunt involved or something? I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up.
The final episode? No, not that one.
The scavenger hunt, I think, happened in the episode before the finale.
Okay.
It was.
Yeah,
it was
the
so
final.
messy.
This show reminds me of a lot of Netflix shows where it's very, very good, and then the finale the finale format doesn't work.
It's the thing is, I feel like they had it, like, even what you were saying before, they had it like right in their face. It was obvious what the finale should be. It's building up to the ultimate cave of karma in the finale, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna do a word puzzle.
The medallions were the right size, like they were ready for it. They didn't even have to make new stuff. They could have just used the stuff they already had. It's a wild decision.
And what does it was so hard watching the finale.
Yeah.
So this show's weird because I feel like the middle, like it's like you said, like a Netflix show where the middle is really good. They hit their stride and then they just nosedive in the finale. And I feel like it does happen in this. The first episode's kind of lackadaisical. It's like, okay, we're introducing you to these kids. We kind of know the format. And then the last episode's like, okay, let's finish this up. I'm like, production just want to get these kids out of here. It's like they've reached the maximum amount of time the kids are allowed to film, and they're like, okay, we need to hurry up. We spent too much time. That's what it felt like to me.
So with this show, there's a specific there's a couple of specific things we want to focus on. One we've watched beforehand. There's a second thing I'm going to bring up afterwards. But the first thing, let's talk a bit about episode 3 of this show. So in episode 3, let's specifically speak about the nomination deliberation. So we all just watched the clip prior to this because this is like the big clip of the show. Lone, would you like to tell us a bit about this moment?
Honestly, I don't remember that much, but I can try. All I know is that like there was some kind of argument about the nominations, about who's going up. I think later on, one of the players was like, I'm getting nominated because of my partner. And so, but the main cinematic part of it is that like all of the kids are arguing. This is right before, and then the host Michelle like just walks in, and there's like people crying, and people are like flabbergasted, and you can see like Michelle just has this dumbfounded look on her face, like what is going on. I knew that this was like the moment that Joshua was referencing a couple weeks ago, because it's like the only or one of the only surviving clips of the show that's like on YouTube. So, and it has a lot of views too. It has like thousands of views. So like this shows the legacy is probably going to be this one moment that happened if nobody else ever sees any of the episodes again, because they're not even available on the original platform that they aired on, which is another thing I'm going to talk about, but we'll get to that.
Well, watching
Yes,
this,
what was that? Sorry.
I was gonna say watching this with no context was so entertaining because we go in and I'm like, I'm just introduced to the characters and I finished the show, but because I've watched it in such a weird way. So 1, 4, and 8, I had missed this moment. So just like they said before the podcast, we watched this little 3-minute clip and it's just absolute chaos. She walks like I know right there. That's when she regret. Why did I become a host? Why did I accept the show where kids are competing? It was absolute pandemonium, and I was living for everything. What about you, Josh?
So to give it more context, so the team that wins the challenge is having it. I've just realised the team that's the most vocal about who. Oh yeah, so the team that's most vocal is the winning team. So they're going around telling the 2 teams that are going in that they're going to be nominated for elimination, and it's primarily because of the guys. So the guys in each team have kind of upset the boy in the power team. So then the girls are getting annoyed at their partners because their partners are a big factor of why they're going in. But then the girl on the power team is also being rude to the girls about the fact of why they're going in. So there's the girls on the nominated team are both annoyed at the power team and their partners. And then there's all this arguing and chaos going on, primarily just between 3 teams. So it's not even the majority of the cast, but when you see the clip, it feels like everyone's involved. And then Michelle, who is very clearly held back, just waiting for the prime moment to send her in. She's just like, oh, what's up, guys? And you can just see that there are people, that the girls on the team going in are sobbing. And then there's arguing going on. And then people are trying to explain themselves while Michelle is sat there and people are speaking over each other. Oh, it's so good. And I know it's weird to laugh at children, but also it's funny. It's fun. I'm sorry, it's funny.
I think this is one of the only times that like I feel like it's justified to laugh at the situation because it's not even that we're laughing at what's happening with the kids. We're just laughing at like what's happening with the host coming into all this pandemonium. Like it was a great scene. It was a great scene.
That's the thing. It's Michelle's reaction is what makes the scene. It's her not knowing what to do about the argument that really sells it.
Yeah, there's this perfect like frame of like a couple of kids like in the front, and she's just like in the background of the shot with like the most shocked look on her face. It is probably what makes it for me. But the three of us watch like a lot of reality TV, and I think that I can speak for all of us that like we don't get a lot of this, like even in current, like from adults, like in regular shows. Like name a Big Brother fight in the last like 3 years that's been as good as this. Like,
and the host, when do you get a better host reaction to a fight than this?
Yeah, because that's
so genuine.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's like, and like I think it's a lot more present in this show than the other ones, but like with these shows like this, you get like the hosts interacting, and a lot of the thing about this one show is that Michelle is like a guide for them. She's supposed to be like a leader and like helping them like navigate the game, and all the twists and everything like that. She introduced herself in the first episode as like a mentor, basically.
This is a good point. So, were the two of you familiar with Michelle before this show?
No, not at all for me.
Yeah, I wasn't at all. I did research on her, since I knew she was gonna host the show and I knew she was like a YouTuber, I think, but other than that, no.
See, so I did know who she was, so I was excited when she got announced as host because I was a fan of her YouTube channel at the time. I still watch it from time to time, but she was someone I used to watch quite regularly at the time of the show. I remember she came out with a video or something like I became a TV host or something like that. So she did a video about the process. Yeah, I became a network television host. She does like a 28-minute video about the process of hosting the show. So I was super excited that she was the host. I am glad they didn't go with JD because I don't think JD could have fit this Gen Z vibe for a show. Like Michelle has the right energy for it, but Michelle also references that like she enjoyed endurance, which is useful. So she knew the source material.
Well, then you like that's. I feel like you could feel that then if she had already like watched the previous medium, she could feel that like, oh, this is.
So another interesting moment I want to speak about. I don't remember which episode it happens in. It happens in episode 4 or episode 5. So there's one contestant, Jack, who is a big strategist on the show, and he says one of the most wild strategic ploys to another team possible. So at one stage, the Jack and the purple team has to pick who to give a karma coin to. So he gives it to one team, and the other team's annoyed. And Jack comes out with the most ridiculous lie I've ever heard in reality television because it didn't make a lick of sense. We got believed. So what he was telling the team he didn't give the coin to is he said, "Well, I didn't want the coin to be lopsided because then you have better odds of finding a coin if the other team has more coins." Which doesn't make any sense because because whichever team has fewer coins, that's how many coins you have to find to win. So by giving the opposing team another coin, that's just another coin you've got to now find. And these kids buy this argument. A lot of these kids, they're not strategists. They're not the most strategically savvy people. Would you say that we've got some good strategists on this cast, aside from Jack?
Aside from Jack, not really. There's like a lot of like, I mean, this is a trend through all of the shows, but like a lot of just like, oh, I'm gonna win. It reminds me of like Hope on Big Brother Canada right now. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna come in and win these challenges. I'm gonna dominate that way. But there's not too much strategy.
You say that, but like I don't know. I like when I hopped into like episode 4, it seemed like no one's like overly strategic, but like they kind of all understand like basic strategy. So it wasn't like there was a couple of them were just like, oh, like challenge heavy, but like I feel like as the show progressed, they became better at like understanding the game and the strategy. So I thought that's why I was actually entertained with episode 4 because I felt like, okay, entering the show, it's gonna be all these kids trying to do more challenge based and like not like taking advantage of the strategic elements of the game. But no, I was pleasantly surprised with them being able to like. There was a decision in episode 4 where they're sending a team in that had been in again, like had just went in, and there was a conflict of interest between the two people that were deciding that. But then they explained the emotional part of the decision and as well as the strategic part of the decision, and that was quite entertaining because they still like it kind of like it showed the different dynamics in which people think of the game.
This is one thing I've always liked about like this franchise of shows when people are playing in pairs and they're having to make decisions together is when they're having to sit there, especially in endurance because they're strangers, but also typically the guys and the girls have got different bonds with each other. So when a pair is trying to come to a consensus on what they should do, you've got like these two differing levels of strategy. So seeing them have to unify on one big decision is always really, really fun.
Yeah, I don't know about how you feel, but I feel like this cast definitely has like a different vibe than like an endurance cast or like the Mua Beach cast. And I don't know if that's just because of like the time that they're in. Like, you know, like there's a like the last like Endurance was in 2008, so like a lot has happened in the world and things have changed like since then between that and like Karma airing. But yeah, this I don't know. This cast just has like a different vibe to me than any of the other shows do.
Well, you could tell all of this cast are social media savvy and aware. Like they're all used to using tech. Like they're all perfectly fine speaking to a camera. Back when the first season of Endurance existed, that was an unheard of concept.
Yeah. And I didn't know, just to go back a little bit, I didn't know what you were saying that like I know that like she did a video about like insight into hosting the show, but I didn't know that I don't think I knew that like she went back and watched like Endurance. So that's an interesting fact to me.
Yeah, I very much enjoy Karma. Eddie, how would you compare Karma to Endurance?
Um yeah, it's interesting because that's obviously what a lot of people were doing. I think one of the like first Google search results for me was like, "Oh, does Karma live up to Endurance?" I mean, I think it did well. I know you said that you thought it was like the best one probably out of all of these shows, but I don't know. I think it was like trying to get, like just like in Mua Beach and just like the first season of Endurance. I think it was kind of like trying to get its footing to see like what would work in the first season. But I did enjoy it. It was fun to see like a similar show to Endurance. It was kind of like fan service for us.
Yeah, this show deserved so much better. It's so annoying to me that they just got swiped off of streaming services.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, HBO Max is doing all kinds of things. They're swiping some because like this got swiped, Legendary's been swiped. There's so many other great shows that have just been swiped off their platform, which is a crazy business decision.
It
It's quite sad to see because this show was giving.
Yeah, it kind of makes me like more like okay with the fact that I didn't have HBO Max because I probably would have like got it just for this. But the fact that like I'm reading the wiki right now, and it says for unknown reasons the show was taken down from HBO Max on September 1st, 2020, and is now not currently available to view. I remember a lot of people were asking around because like I told them in the pre-show I like joined the forum for Endurance that was still around, and people were talking about like, oh, this Karma's coming or whatever on this new show version of the show's coming. But that was like they're saying September 1st. The show like premiered on June 18th.
3 months.
Yeah, basically this show was on the platform for 3 months, and I believe they all dropped on the same day. I believe, right?
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So literally, you had like those 3 months if you wanted to watch it. Of course, us the diehards, we watched it right from the beginning. But like, they didn't even give the show a chance to like get any steam or have anybody talk about it. I knew there was one rumor that one of the co-creators of the show with JD Roth was Scooter Braun. I'm sure a lot of people know him. His like Justin Bieber's like manager or
I
whatever.
didn't know this. That's interesting.
Yeah, apparently he was like in some kind of legal drama or issues or whatever. So I think people were like equating it to that, but like that wasn't confirmed or anything.
Oh, that makes so much
But
sense.
I know a lot of people on Twitter, like finally, like a lot of people were wondering, and then people like were reaching out to HBO Max, and finally HBO Max responded to this one person on Twitter, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we don't have any plans to like put it back on this on the platform, so that's why it's gonna become lost media now, and it's only 3 years old."
Oh, that sucks because it's a fun show. It's a fun show to watch. You can watch it pretty quickly. Like
Yeah,
it's a
it's really
concept.
short.
It's a really cool
It's
concept.
it's only 8 episodes, so it's a really quick binge.
It's a great concept for a like the mechanics of the game are interesting, except for the finale and the like right to stay. Like I thought it was a really good format. So
I stand by Right to Stay. I enjoy it. It's good TV.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know, like, Mehdi, now that you've seen this, I'd be interested to see what you think about the other two shows we watched.
so I listened to podcasts where you guys talking about Moolah Beach. I'm not gonna check out that show, but it
Wait,
it sounded really bad, to be honest, like, but not the good bad. And
wait,
I
Josh,
wanted
what was that show? What was the name of that show, Josh?
What, Moolah Beach?
Moolah Beach.
It's so
Before
annoying.
before the show, just a little tidbit, Josh. Lone was like, "Oh, Josh says Moolah Beach weird. Get him." And I'm like, "Oh,
He kept saying this last week as well. It's like, we actually can't out what Moolah. That's just like because what Moolah Beach? That doesn't make sense. That suggests that it'd be like LE as opposed to LA.
yeah." Endurance. I think I might check out some Endurance if it's similar to this show, but like,
Yeah.
is it like where do the similarities end between this and Endurance?
So in Endurance, there's the additional challenge called an Endurance mission. So the team that wins that, they win a pyramid piece. So there's additional of like these laws of karma that could be about the competition, and they get to give a disadvantage in the temple mission to a team.
Okay.
So instead of 1 hour, each round is instead 2 half-hour episodes. So one episode is the Endurance mission, one episode is the temple mission. So the episodes move at a lot faster pace.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Temple of Fate. Do you think that the Cave of Calm was too luck based?
I know where this is going.
Like, do you think it's like too much luck, not enough luck? Mehdi?
From my perspective, I thought you were asking Lone because he had seen both.
Yeah.
I thought it was like pretty like even, to be honest, especially with like the disadvantages don't seem like they did much. Maybe because the elimination that I had watched, both teams had gone the same level of tokens.
Yes.
So like maybe I didn't see that, but from what I saw, it doesn't seem like it seems pretty like even.
So would you say this? Do you like this level of luck, or do you maybe wish there was a bit more luck? Because if you wish there was more luck, let me give you a quick overview of how the Temple of Fate works in Endurance. Let me ask you afterwards. I'll see if it sounds a bit familiar. It's a pretty unique game, but there's a few similarities or something. So there's 3 elements. There is wood, water, and fire. Wood floats on water. Water puts out fire, and fire burns wood. Now they have to have the smarts and the wits to select the dominant element against their opponents 2 out of 3 times to stay in the game.
Yo, what in the Pokemon is going on? What is this element stuff? I actually don't like that at all. I'd rather it be more simple with the tokens. I don't like.
I mean, wood floats on water because that's showing dominance, right? I mean, it's glorified rock paper scissors, but it
really is.
But for 6 seasons, they will not tell you that it's rock paper scissors. They will never use those words.
So they'll just do whatever. Like they'll do it. So like even if they changed it up, they just like do it in any order to make it one luck based game and just replicate. But why can't they just say rock paper scissors?
No, because it's the Temple of Fate. It's not
rock paper scissors because they don't throw rock paper or scissors. They have to choose like a cauldron with an element.
Yeah, they have to write it on a stone and then throw the stone into it.
I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. That is so dumb. It removes, because that's a luck based game. That's
but what I miss is so what this show needs. It needs the level of scathing that the letters on Endurance had. So eliminated teams left letters to people, and some of these letters were shady.
You didn't like the letters on Karma though?
It wasn't giving as much for me.
So I only saw one letter, or like from what I've watched, and it didn't seem like it wasn't there was no drama to it. It's like, oh, good luck, blah blah blah, like nothing. Like I wanted to see people be saltier than they were, even when they
Endurance gives you that. Endurance, they'll straight up call people bad people. It's great.
That's what I want. Like they're all kids. It's okay if they do it. I'm not gonna do it, but I like them talking. I like them being angry. They should be angry about this. No, I'm gonna check out Endurance. If it's like that, I will definitely check out Endurance.
I think Endurance is the second best kids reality show to ever exist.
And your first?
Kid Nation.
I was gonna say Kid Nation.
That was the one I thought. So okay, but Kid Nation.
But Mehdi, you've seen Kid Nation, right?
I like Kid Nation, yes, but I don't know if Kid Nation would be number 1 because there's a lot of filler in Kid Nation.
It's just so iconic, though. Like, the iconic moments are just so...
The iconic moments are like, they are very memorable, but like I just didn't, maybe the format, I didn't like the format as much, but the characters were very entertaining.
Can you imagine Taylor from Kid Nation shouting "Get
Ooh.
over it" when she sends a team to the Temple of Fate?
Ooh, she would have been so good on these shows. On an actual like purely competition show, kind of like this. I thought she would have been giving.
They need her on Big Brother.
Do you think she's the same though? I don't like, as an adult, I don't think like she went through that whole thing. I feel like she was already the villain as a kid. I feel like she'd like overcompensate.
I feel like she'd be like that to start.
And to like transition, what have you guys been watching this week?
So I've been catching up on the Challenge World Championship. It's been I think it's been pretty good. I know like other people have been saying that like the challenge in general is just getting like stale and boring, but I don't know, like this one is different to me. I don't know if it's because it's on Paramount Plus. They've been like doing some editing tricks. Like it has I think a lot of people have been saying it has an old school vibe to it. Like they brought back the intro. Yeah, it's been good. One of the episodes was weird because it was basically just like they cliffhangered an episode, and then the next episode was basically just strategy leading up to the elimination. So I didn't like that because I was like, here we go with the cliffhangers again. But they're back on track with like having a daily and an elimination. But yeah, they picked some decent like people from the spinoffs, except for Argentina. Like their winner wasn't on, but that's a whole nother story. I liked it. I've been liking it. I'm fully caught up now, so I'm gonna try to like stay caught up on that. And then Big Brother Canada, I've kind of just been a casual. I like the last couple of
I mean, hold
weeks.
on. What alternative is there to being a casual for Big Brother Canada? What's the alternative?
Oh
Wait,
my
what?
god! Not
Oh
watching
yeah,
it.
for this season, yeah, everyone is a casual this season of Big Brother Canada. There's no delineation between. I guess if you want to say like people who watch the dailies or like watch, there's still like podcasts about the dailies, but yeah, I have been like busy sometimes during the episodes lately, so I've been just like watching everyone on a binge basically.
Let me get the two notes. The two notes you're talking about. So, far from me to just talk about the drama about the challenge, but I've seen something online stirring that maybe like the main show might be canceled on MTV and they might just shift a bunch of people to the CBS show. What do you think about that?
Who, me?
Yeah, you're the challenge guy.
No, I'm not. That's the thing, though. I'm not the challenge
No,
guy.
you're the challenge guy every week.
This podcast
Every
you
week.
are.
Every week. Lone, what have you watched? The challenge. That's it.
Who
I
picked
mean,
the name
that's
of
what-
this challenge?
that's
It was
what-
not me. It was not Mehdi.
That's what's been on right now. Nothing. Survivor just started. Big Brother just started. So, like, what else am I going to talk about?
I'm sorry, Josh. What'd you say?
I was just saying, who named this podcast? It was not me and it was not Mehdi.
No,
Well,
it was not.
okay,
It was,
yeah, but that's not like it's not about the challenge. It's about another game show. If you need your history, but
you're on brand with the physical and the Big Brother. I have not been. I don't know how you guys have been keeping up with this season, but like I'm so disconnected from Big Brother, except for some stuff that comes on the timeline. I am not dialed in. When everyone I see a feed report, or not even a feed, a report that. Sorry, there's a report that is like, oh, this person might be on the block, and then you go to the digital daily. It's like, oh, nah, they were just playing games. Like, there's no info. It's so bad. How the show's not gets canceled after this season is beyond me. Like, I really think this has gone worse than I thought it would.
Yeah, I've not been watching. I could not care less about this season of the show. I don't know the names. If you was to show me this list of house guests, I would maybe be able to name you 4, including the evicted house guests.
yeah, I haven't been as invested. Even though I'm not like really a hardcore like feed person or anything, I just haven't been as invested. It's like, oh, I'll watch it when I can. Like the threat, like you said on Twitter, like you'll see an update or whatever. Like Twitter's been dead. Like you used to see like every 30 seconds there'd be a new tweet about the show. It's not like that anymore. There's like minutes in between the spaces. All the like discords I'm in that talk about like the feeds and stuff, like the feeds that like they all have channels that are dedicated to just talking about the feeds, but they're all dead. So like it's really bad. It's really bad.
I don't know if you guys talked about this last week, but the first boot from this season made a stir on
Oh
Twitter.
yeah.
What did I think they said? No spoilers, even though it doesn't really matter. They said that it's the like the fans' fault that the feeds like went down. What do you guys think about that?
It's one of two things. It's either the show is being cheap and they're trying to save money, or they're scared of them being held accountable. And they're only being held accountable because either they do shady things or they cast shady people. So
Yeah,
this whole is all the fans' fault. Stop casting horrific people on television.
Yeah, I saw something somewhere.
Go on.
Sorry, I saw something somewhere that maybe that there was like cutbacks of the company, but I don't know anything about that. But go ahead, sorry.
Josh, continue your rant.
It's so bad. It's so annoying. I've been a big Brother Canada fan for quite a while now, and now I'm just like, you know what? No, because after BB Can 8 and the mess there, I was like, I'm never watching this show again. And then Arissa came out and became a producer on the show, and they announced the 50% rule. They were making progress. I was sucked back in for 9 and 10, and then the feeds are gone. Nope. As soon as these feeds go away for Big Brother, this show is not good enough for me to not watch it with feeds. I am sorry, but 3 episodes a week for one person to go home, it's not giving. Big Brother UK used to get away with 6-7 episodes before someone went home because that show was serving the drama. Big Brother US and then Big Brother Canada. When was the last good season of the show based on the television edit of the show? Because for me, I don't think there's been anything good since Big Brother Canada 5 in terms of the edit of the show specifically.
I think you're on the money, BB Can 5, because BB Can 6 was solely a story that you would not understand unless you watch the feeds. So even though that was a good season, you have no idea it was a good season based on the TV show. So I think. Sorry. You can go.
Oh, all I'm hearing is that Josh will not be signing the next petition to get the show back, like there was after 5.
I was one of the people that signed that petition. I tell you now, if this show gets cancelled, I will not be in any way trying to revive this show. I will happily let it die.
It's just I feel like the digital dailies weren't like I was giving a bit of hope. They didn't pan out how I hoped they would. Like the snippets we're getting are a lot of snippets of nothing or stuff we've already know from the TV show. So like it's very like we're not getting any like deep information of like the dynamics of really what's happening. Alone, what do you think? Because I feel like you're more into this season. I've only ever like seen clips here or there, but like from the dailies. But
I haven't been watching the dailies. I just kind of like just get the gist of them from like online or whatever. But like the funniest thing to me is that like the way they edit the dailies, because I've heard that there's like they bleep people out, and then there was this one of the first dailies. There was like a whole like title card screen. It like cut, and there was like a title card screen in the daily. It's like you edited this, and you still have like title card screens. Like it was just like a mess. But yeah, I don't really have any opinion on the dailies. They haven't been like consistent or anything. It's like one day they'll come out at like 10 a.m. and then one day they'll come like one time they came out like a couple of nights before midnight, a couple minutes before midnight. So people were just like waiting all day. It's like, oh, are we gonna get a daily today? And if so, what time is it gonna be at? It's very organized.
It'd be strictly better if they just they'd make it better if they just had a strict schedule. Like, okay, dailies are coming out this part of the day. All the fans will know it's coming out this time of the day. So like, okay, if you're gonna watch them, give me time to watch them. But I'm tired of talking about Big Brother Canada. Josh, what have you been watching?
I have one more quick Big Brother Canada question. Have you been voting in all of the Twitter polls to vote for people to open their little get ready with me baskets, maybe open a couple of things from whatever other companies they've got going on.
Yeah, so these the fan vote things aren't new. Like they still have like this. They brought back like the Bel Air Direct eviction protection insurance, which is basically just like a safety vote. But they do it like every other. They've been having it like every other week, so that's weird. And then I've been seeing what you're talking about, these little basically like sponsor branded thing. It's always a Twitter vote, so they have to like, and there's only like 3 options on a Twitter vote, so they have 18 house guests, so they just have to make a thread with like 3 options on each. It's very flawed. It's not like a straight up vote. It's like, oh, you can vote between these three and then these three and then these three, and then whoever gets the most out of all of those.
Oh, that's so
But
lame.
just think all the traction this show used to have. Now, this poll was posted over 40 hours ago. The most popular poll has got 1,400 votes. Like, this show has fell off.
See, like, I don't know how, like, I don't know about Big Brother, like, Big Brother Canada compared to Big Brother proper, like, in terms of, like,
I'm obsessed with you calling it Big Brother Canada and Big Brother proper, by the way.
Because it's true. It's Big Brother. I feel like the US show is like the original, so I'll call it BB proper for now, and it actually gives you like feeds. But I don't know how much the television audience impacts like these voting things. Like, do they actually think people that are just like casually watching this are gonna be like doing these like voting things every week? And are they promoting it through the episodes a lot, or like how are they doing this? Are they just throwing it online? And be like, okay, vote for
the ones like that where they're like, oh, what do you want to see? Their toothbrush routine or whatever. Like those are just like online. They haven't mentioned them. They kind of like the ones for safety. They kind of just like shoehorn them in at the very end. It's like, oh yeah, there's a vote for safety, but half the people I talk to don't even know like that there's a vote for safety, and they're only open. I just they open them like after the episode, and they're only open for like maybe 12 or 15 hours, and I can just understand that because when you have like a vote for safety, that's gonna affect the gameplay, so you can only have it open for a certain amount of time before like the nominations. But
Can I ask a quick
yeah, it's
question?
kind of like an afterthought for most of them.
Let me ask a quick question about it. Okay, so did they tell the house guests that there's no feeds?
I don't think so.
So they're just operating as if there was feeds?
Well, based on how these people are acting, it seems like they think there's feeds.
Yeah,
That'd be so frustrating to go get on this show, think you're gonna have your gameplay shown, and then hoping, and now you're gonna just hope the editor shows it if it is there. Ugh, that is. I can go on and on how bad this.
Yeah, I've been listening to podcasts, and they're like, well, usually we can say like, oh, when the house guests come out and they're like, oh, this is how this went. It's like, no, we saw everything. It's like, well, now you can't say that we saw everything. They probably know just as much as us, or they probably know more than us now. So we're having to like get crumbs from them on how things went down, because all we're getting is the hour of daily daily digital dailies every day.
Oh, okay, Josh. Can we stop talking about Big Brother? I'm so over Big Brother. What have you been watching?
So I've been watching a lot of Survivor. I will not go into too much detail about Survivor US because I know you are catching up.
I would like to get into it though. I'm going to be honest. I'm up to date. I know what happened. I just have not watched the final episode 4. But I'm open to talking.
You've heard about this weird twist.
Oh yeah.
I've heard of people complaining about it, but I haven't heard the details specifically. You can tell that you can be open about them.
Oh my goodness! So there's a journey this episode.
All right. Are you sending one person? Are they just sending one person like always?
Yeah.
So there's a reward challenge. The winning tribe, as well as getting the reward, gets to pick one person from each tribe to go on the journey.
All right.
They go on this journey. They each pick a path. There is inverted commas surrounding pick a path. Production tells them which path to go down, clearly, because this doesn't make any logical sense if they don't. So what then happens is, so they each get a note saying, firstly, congratulations, you have found a hidden immunity idol.
All right.
All 3 of them. This idol expires when the tribes move together on one beach.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, you are not returning to your tribe.
I'm sorry. What?
So then all three of them get circle swapped to different tribes. And now this is where it's very clear that producers had to intervene here to do the swap, because like if they randomly picked paths, they could have ended up on the same tribe
Same
again.
one, yeah.
So it's very clear that production sent them on each path, which then isn't fair because production got to decide which way round the swap happened. Because there's two potential orders they could have got swapped, and production clearly chose which one they wanted.
Well, why didn't they just? Wasn't there an easier way to do it by just like getting them all to pick from a thing, and they each have 2 tribe logos on it, and then one of them like that eventually is going to make everyone go on a different tribe?
What they should have done is they should have just stood in a circle and then just picked like an arrow, and one arrow would have been clockwise and one would have been anti-clockwise or something like that.
Yeah, I think that would make way more sense. Okay, you can continue. Yeah. So how did that end up? That ended up messing up a lot of things, I'm assuming.
Yes, but then, so they've all got, so they're going to these new tribes, and they've all got idols, and it's just a bit stupid to me, because then you're throwing this person into a new tribe and giving them all these power over these other people, but the tribes don't know that this person holds this ridiculous power of just being given an idol. It's just, the whole thing is just very clunky.
Yeah, the other thing about the path was that I feel like, well, I guess I just thought about it and I just broke my own logic, but I was thinking, like, with them picking the paths, like they could all go on a path and then they could have, like, I was thinking that they could just have one person pick their one, and then they go to the production goes to the other two and they pick that one out of the bag, so that the person that already picked can't, that tribe can't be picked again. But yeah,
that could in theory happen. I just don't trust producers to put that much effort into this.
Yeah, I think they thought that, like, oh, we're gonna give them an idol, so that way they won't just immediately go out. I think that was like their justification for giving every one of them an idol, so that they didn't just have a situation where the new person on each tribe just gets voted out and it's a wash.
Well, I get how it's like a safety, like a nice safety blanket. Like, okay, we're not throwing you in blind, right? But like, can I just talk about the kind of like how I'm like perceiving this season?
Absolutely.
So the first episode, I thought it was a good episode until like this is my first like gripe with this season. Like, you see a guy like bleeding from the head, and then I feel like this was they should have checked if he had a concussion at that moment, instead of just letting him wait there and then making us kind of have like a cliffhanger. Not a cliffhanger in this sense, but like we watch the whole episode and then, oh, this guy just gets medevac. So I don't like when they do that. Like, in the structure of episode, they probably should have just pulled him from the game right there.
Yeah.
And then, how do you guys feel about the caged idols thing? Because I feel like that was mixed. I have a mixed feeling about that.
I'm obsessed with these caged idols. I think it's clever. I think the fake idols, I think they're doing a bit too much. They're trying a bit too hard with it. They gave them too many tools to make the fake idol believable.
I think. Sorry.
I'm fine with them getting the item. It's the fact that they got given a note that they can easily use is the problem for me.
I like it, but just for the idol. If they remove that element of like the production made fake idol, I think it works, because then it incentivizes the other people to actually think about, okay, you actually have to make a fake idol, or like fill it up with rocks, or do something like do something a little bit more creative than just use that coin to be a fake. And also, I have I like the cage thing. I have a gripe with having an idol re-hidden after the cage thing. I think what they should have done is they should have just had those 3 idols in the pre-merge. Then there's 0 idols till the merge. And then I don't know what's going on in the merge. Maybe they have like one huge cage for the one merge idol that there is. I feel like that would have been limited amount of advantages in the game. And then like made it easier for players like to maneuver, instead of thinking about like they made it a bit too convoluted. You know what I mean? Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think my favorite part about the idol thing is that, like, people the cage idol is that, like, people discover that, like, every, like, one tribe's real idol is another tribe's fake idol. I think that's my favorite part, because then you have, like, later on, like, maybe somebody, because, like, in this episode, somebody who already thought that they had an idol found a real idol. So I'm just like wondering. I'm waiting for like someone to play like what they think is a real idol, and it's a fake idol, and they go home, but like they don't know that they can play their actual idol, and so they go home with a real idol because the idol that they played was fake.
But do you like that you said?
Well, I like the mechanism of like one tribe's real idol being similar to another one's fake idol, because I think that could get messy. Like Joshua was saying, like with the journey this episode, like they specifically said like when everybody is on one beach. So like people were thinking that there's gonna be another like mergatory kind of thing, because they didn't say like when there's a swap or like when everybody's on the same tribe. They just said when every player like is on the same beach or living on the same beach.
But I just feel like they're not letting the players play, like get creative with it, like just inserting that like mechanism.
It's the new era. The new era.
It's so bad.
It's kind of just like collecting tokens in a board game now, and it's kind of removing the human element to the game. It's very I don't like that part of the what they're doing. I feel like they got the first half right, but then they're just like kind of fumbling and adding a bit too much in the second half. What do you guys think about? So like what happens? I've watched this binge this week, but I've seen like the Twitter like outrage with the boot order this season. What do you guys think about that?
Oh, the boot order's horrific again. It's awful. Like, what do you expect me to say?
Yeah, I didn't expect to say anything crazy. It was just like I was wondering whether like do you think it's because of like the convolutedness they've inserted into the game that the boot order has gone a certain way, especially leaning towards one gender in particularly?
I absolutely think that is the case, because when you are constantly throwing so much out of the player's control in the game, what can you control? And all you can really control is the strength of your tribe. And because in 41, 42, remember, there's no swap, so they kind of know they're going into a swapless season. In tiny tribes, you have to keep your tribe strong. And because so many of the challenges are geared towards big, muscly people, the smaller women are going to get voted off, because you've designed a game that is designed for them to go home. Once they make it to the merge, they're in a fine position. But up until that point, they're in a really rough spot, because even if the tribe values them as allies, they're focused on keeping their team stronger.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, so has an Australian Survivor? Because I'm assuming you have been keeping up to this season, Josh.
I'm familiar with what's happening.
Do they do smaller tribes, or do they still do like two big tribes and they just do standard Survivor?
It's still two large tribes. They've not done more than two tribes since the first revival season.
So why do you think they're so hesitant to do? Like, I'm guessing it's easier to tell a story within these three smaller tribes, but like, what other reason do you think they're keeping this format? Because I feel like they're really limiting gameplay, because it's either limiting one or the other. It's not like it's more simple in this format, which is like not fun to watch, to be honest.
The show's argument is that it's more dangerous.
I mean, theoretically, they're correct, and it's like, oh, well, 1 in 6 chance instead of a 1 in 10 chance, right? But like, you're limiting the stuff that's going to happen. So you're like limiting the like television product, aren't you? So like, that's why it doesn't make sense to me. Like, kind of limiting good TV.
I get why the first two seasons did that. I'm shocked that 43 and 44 continued it.
Here, if they started that, and then like, you know how in I don't know if it's Survivor Cambodia, where they start at 3, or they might start at 2, then go to 3, and then go back to 2. Like, I feel like that's more like you get more interdynamics that way. But just starting at 3 and staying at 3 doesn't like. And then when you go towards the merge, it's just going to be like my side versus their side, and it's like it's hard to like because you see it in like 41, 42, less so in 43. Actually, more so in 43 because they're tribe loyal. You see like the smaller tribes staying closer together. So like you're not getting any like cool strategy or anything like intricate happening. So I still don't know why they do that. But have you guys so I'm assuming you guys haven't been enjoying the season, Josh, eh?
Which one? I mean, the answer is no, regardless.
Wait, you're not enjoying Australian Survivor?
I'm not watching Australian Survivor, but I think the end game is just so silly because The end game is silly.
Do you here, Lone? I'm just gonna spoil something. Not what happens, but so I don't know if it's last season or the season before. Australian Survivor introduced the final three, like into their mechanism. So, what do you think about that? Like, because I know I'm assuming you prefer the final two, right? Josh, Lone.
Yes, I mean, I was giving Lola a chance to speak because I've been saying a lot today. I prefer final twos because final twos make sense. Shows should go up until a point where the format breaks. At final three, someone can still be voted off, so there's no reason why the jury picks a winner out of the final three. The show should go to final two because at that point you no longer can have a vote.
Lone, what do you think about this? I know you're less Survivor.
I was letting you guys take this because you were talking about Australian, and I have like next to no information about Australian.
I just wanted to mention the mechanic because like in Australian Survivor, I feel like they were more. I'm gonna use the word again. It felt like more Survivor proper in the way they format the show than what we've been getting. So that's why I was thinking like, okay, like I don't understand. Everyone, the online fan base has been leaning towards liking international seasons way better. So like I don't know if like Survivor US is like feeling like okay, like our product's diminishing or they just don't care.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about like the three tribe, how they seem to be committed to like the three tribe layout. I was just thinking that like, and I was like checking, but most of the seasons that I've seen, I'm still relatively new to Survivor. I've only been watching since like maybe 33 or 34. So most of the seasons I've seen have only been like three tribes. So I'd just be interested to see what a two tribe layout would look like because I'm just not familiar with it at all.
Yeah,
no, the two tribe is it feels like a different game to me. So like I do suggest like watching some of the older seasons.
Yeah, so I think looking at the wiki, the only like two tribe season I've seen probably would be Island of the Idols, which how we feel about that.
Wait, Lone, quick question: what's the first season Survivor you watched?
I believe it was Heroes, Hustlers, whatever the other.
Oh,
all
my
the ages.
God. That is your introduction to
That's
Survivor?
What I'm saying. I'm still new. Let me see. Yeah, I think that was it. I'm a casual baby.
Yeah, be a casual, but not that casual. That's like you started off with like the worst, like one of the worst seasons. When they ruined the game, they ruined the mechanism of the final part of the game.
Yeah, it was either that one or like one or two before that. I just remember that like because I'm big on like making like graphics and stuff. I just remember like making a graphic for that season, I think, and then Ghost Island. So I think it was one of those was my first.
Josh, quick question for you. Cuz Lone hasn't seen that many seasons of Survivor before that time. Which ones would you recommend to him to like kind of get him acclimated to like more of a two tribe or how we see Survivor?
Okay, I'm having to think about the way you phrase the question because recommendations always change based on the way the question is phrased.
Yeah.
In terms of what's like a really solid two tribe season to experience, the seasons that come to mind.
I'm taking notes, by the way. So
I think, and these are, and I'm picking. There's a couple of ways you could say it because if you're wanting a season where two tribes are really going to war, you would look at something like South Pacific. But I don't think that's a season of Survivor that's necessarily really have to watch. I think if it wants like a really solid season, I think Pearl Islands is really good. China is really good. There are other seasons I like, but controversial. Like I'm a big Fiji fan, but I know that's a really hot take for some people for some reason.
Fiji, which one is it? They're all in Fiji.
Oh, be quiet.
So back when Fiji was cool.
Something about these shows in Fiji, Endurance Fiji, Survivor Fiji. Those are the good seasons, apparently.
Cheap to film there.
I live for Survivor Fiji, but I think like Pearl Islands and China are two seasons that really give a good look at what the two tribe dynamic can look like.
Okay. And I'll interject in there if you want to watch an international one that's more recent. That's kind of like that. I feel like Australian Survivor Season 2 is a good barometer of like a 2-tribe season.
I assume by season 2 you're talking about 2017.
Sorry, 2017. Australian Survivor 2017.
Is that
yeah.
champions versus contenders or no?
No, that was
That's before they started that.
Yeah, it was a lot of people liked the season. I get it. I don't, because I think one of the most hyped people from that season is a really terrible individual.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely are. But the season's a fun watch.
Yes.
So I think like there's a lot of characters on that season, so it's a fun watch. Or you can do Survivor, and if you don't want to go the Australian route, I think Survivor South Africa season 5. That's a good
What,
good
Champions?
Is it the one? No, it's the one before Champions, isn't it? Wait, sorry, I'm getting my numbers wrong. I should give you the.
Are you maybe thinking of Philippines?
Philippines, yes. Sorry, Philippines.
Or you've also got Immunity Island, which is also very good.
Yeah, those are good recommendations. Now let's talk about what we're going to talk about next week. So we're going to be watching a show called The Physical 100 next week.
Woo!
And so Josh has. So Josh, how much have you watched of it before?
I've watched the entire thing.
Ooh. So me and Lone were talking before, and we were wondering if we should watch the entire thing. But because you have watched the entire thing, I think I'm going to try my best watching as much episodes as possible. Lone, what do you think?
Yeah, what I will say about this show is you can kind of jump over things, because there's going to be some times where you're going to watch the same challenge happen for over an episode. So once you've seen the challenge happen once or twice, you can kind of skip to the next challenge. Because there is a solid there's like an hour and a half of this show is just the same wrestling challenge over and over and over.
Yeah, it reminds me of their other show, Ultimate Beastmaster, which I was a fan of, but I didn't ever finish that show. The show that birthed Challenge Great Namvo. So,
Challenge Great. Okay, wait. Before we end this podcast, great what? Great at what? Great at not appearing on the TV.
He's been robbed 3 times.
He has not been on the TV. He does not appear on the television product, even when he had went far.
I'm not going to be entertaining this.
Okay, that'll be all for this podcast. See you guys later. Bye.
You're not gonna plug anything?
Wait, now we're interjecting. I didn't know we were gonna have to plug. My bad.
Okay, well I'm gonna plug my Twitter, and Lowe's gonna plug his, and Mehdi doesn't. We don't hear about Mehdi's Twitter clearly.
You know what? I'm rusty right now, so I am rusty, just like I'm jet lagged. So so sorry. You can follow me at Aljabiri23 on Twitter. Your socials, Josh?
You can follow me on Twitter or on Instagram at JoshyFLX, JOSHIEFLX.
That rolled off the tongue smoothly. I like that. And then mine is Lone Ranger 158, and you can follow the podcast Physical Chow Pod. I just added a couple more platforms, so we should be available on a couple more platforms.
Mehdi, would you like to try that again now?
Okay, now for the second time. We're going to see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.